Hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, say what you will about the year 2022, but you cannot deny it was an awesome year for video games. I mean, some awesome stuff came out. The game of the year was like, this is the first year where there was really like, man, that's kind of a tough call. And I tell you what, I personally think the game of the year that won, Elden Ring, kind of deserved it, but hey, that's not what this video is about. This video is about me finally getting a PS5. I haven't gotten one, not that I couldn't, but I finally did it. And as you can see behind me, my PS4, which I did not play much, is transferring everything over to the PS5. And I think it said I had like 13 hours left. So that gave me a lot of time to do some thinking, some reflecting upon this year. And, I got to looking and I got to thinking and I was like, you know what? What games did I beat this year? Every year you get games, right? You get a backlog, of course, but you also should be beating them. Well, I counted it up, and I beat 15 games this year. Now, it varies. Some of them I went all the way 100%. Some of them I just beat them. Some of them were long. Some of them were short. But regardless, I wanted to recap kind of the games I beat this year, some of my experiences, maybe even like kind of micro reviews of them, because I'm telling you, there was some awesome ones. So, at first I was going to try to go in order of the games that I actually beat as far as like, chronologically, but I don't have that exact information because, I had to base it off of like achievements and stuff. So I just wrote them down as I got to them. I do know the last few are going to be accurate as far as my last games I completed this year because, I just beat them, some of which literally like this morning. But all that aside, let's talk about some of the games that I beat this year in 2022. So the first game I want to talk about, I actually did a little bit of a review and an unboxing on the channel, and that's One Step from Eden. Man, especially with the Mega Man Battle Network collection being announced, that game to me was like a godsend. It's not the same as Battle Network, but it's the same concept as far as the gameplay is concerned. Battle to battle. It is kind of a roguelike in the sense that, you kind of go through and not like an overworld in Battle Network. Really, the only thing it steals from Battle Network is the gameplay, but my god, is that game good. I originally played it on Game Pass. I loved it there, but it was hard, and it still is hard. But when I got it on the Switch, I don't know, something clicked, maybe I got better, I don't know, but I beat it, and I beat it legitimately. Now, I won't say I 100%ed it, because that involves kind of going through and just replaying it over and over and over again, which I did, and I got very far, very close. Like, I think there's like 50 levels as far as like leveling up, and I'm like right near the end. Just got a little bit bored of it, not, that it's a boring game, but I mean, I played it a bunch, and I got what I wanted out of it. But in general, that game was great. So glad that I finished it. Yeah, I'm telling you, if you haven't played that one, definitely check it out. I don't know if it's on Game Pass anymore, but if it is, you don't have any excuse if you're a Game Pass haver. But if not, it's pretty cheap all the time. Definitely worth checking out, and it's a game that I'm really, really glad I was able to beat this year. So this next game was actually very short. It's a fun game. I love the series, and that's WarioWare Get It Together. That game actually came out last year, I think, and I ended up getting it on sale beginning of the year sometime, maybe February. It was awesome. I will say that I sat down and literally beat it in one sitting, like 2 or 3 hours. But that's not what the game's all about. I mean, the game is about playing with friends, mini games, zany wackiness. My favorite one is still the one on the Game Boy Advance, which was later ported to the GameCube. But this one's cool. This one is different though. This one has it to where rather than just playing mini games, the mini games are based on the mini games. It's actually based on the characters more, and I say that as in the games are, still obviously different, but each one can be tackled differently by the different characters, which all play differently. I know that's really kind of weird just saying it that way, but essentially it's like you play as each character can do something. Like this guy can jump, this guy can dash, this guy can shoot something. And it's the same mini games throughout. Like, okay, let's say there's a windmill you gotta spin. You can either fly into it with a flying character or shoot it with a shooting character. It's very interesting. It's a cool twist. I like that they did something different. It is a fun game, though. Really, the whole point of the game, though, is to play it with friends. So, saying that I beat it is kind of a cop-out, because, literally it took, 2 hours just to blaze through the story. But once again, very fun game. Highly recommend it. If you haven't played it, it's very cool. Now, this next one is a 100%er. This is one that I highly recommend if you're going to play it, fully complete it, and that is Flynn, Son of Crimson. It is beautiful. First off, beautiful game. Very fun, very short. I mean, you could beat it in less than 20 hours, and that's 100%ing it, which I did. It was really great. I mean, like I said, it hit all the notes for me. I love the pixel art. I love the combat. It just felt really good, felt really pretty, really clean. And nothing was like really unreasonable too. Nothing felt like I was wasting my time trying to get it. It wasn't like, oh man, I need to go back and get that one treasure because of blah. It's like everything really felt necessary. And by the end of the game, your skill tree is fully maxed out. There was no grinding for me personally. And I don't know if it's just while I was inherently playing, maybe I was subconsciously grinding. I don't know. But, by the time I got to the end, I had beaten everything. And by the time I finished it and the credits rolled, I was there. So, you know what? Hey, that's all I need. But speaking of pretty games, the next game is another game that I definitely feel the same way about. And that is Record of Lotus War, Deedlit in Wonder Labyrinth. God, that's a mouthful. Whoa, talk about a awesome, pretty game. The sprite work, phenomenal. The gameplay, phenomenal. It's a Metroidvania, phenomenal. It plays just like Symphony of the Night, as in you kill monsters and they have a rare chance to drop rare weapons. It is so good. It is so good. And it's great because, nowadays, especially because I'm getting older, I find myself wanting shorter games. Not because, I don't want to sink a bunch of time in. And trust me, there's some games on this list that I sank some time in. But I will say that usually I like a shorter game, something I can beat in 10 to 20 hours. So I kind of enjoy it, get the full story, and kind of get in and get out. This game broke that mindset for me because it was pretty short. I'm wanting to say like 10 hours. I mean, just like what I'm talking about, just like what I want. But I'm telling you, when I beat it, I wanted more. And it's not like it didn't give me enough. There's plenty of content. It was great. I just wanted more. I wanted this game to be longer. I want a sequel. I want a 2. I want a 3. I want a 4. It was good. If you love Metroidvanias, to me, honestly, it was perfect. It was exactly what I needed, and the mechanics change it up just enough to make it different than the other games in the genre, and that's kind of the big thing, right? If every Metroidvania is the same, collect the boot to go through the lava, come on, it's gonna get boring. This one had this cool kind of elemental deal going on where you could switch back and forth between elements to, take damage or not take damage, kind of like Ikaruga, almost. It's awesome. It is such a good game. I cannot recommend that game enough. In fact, most of the games on this list, I didn't beat out of I'm gonna beat this game, I hate it, so they're all pretty much I like them if you haven't got the gist by now. But that game is definitely top of the list. If you want a game to play, you need to check out. Let's say this again. Record of Lotus War, which is an anime. Deedlit in Wonder Labyrinth, which is a character and a place. So yeah, check it out. I want to take a little time to kind of do 3 honorable mentions. These aren't games that I want to fully include on the list because 2 of them are kind of games as a service, MMO type things, and one of them was a DLC, but technically I did finish them. One of them, Phantasy Star Online 2 New Genesis. It's an MMO that I play. I play it on the Xbox, and new content comes out regularly. And every time it comes out, I fully beat it. In fact, right now, the new Stia world came out at the beginning of the month, and I've already finished everything. I'm grinding out some of the weapons now, but I mean, technically completed it. Another game that actually Shanna got into is Disney Dreamlight Valley, which is kind of like Animal Crossing, but with Disney characters or Disney related. We've completed all the content on that. I say we, it's mostly her. I just kind of jump in once in a while to help, gather the crops and get the money or whatever. But, that game is completed, but, like I said, it's a games as a service, so it's going to go on forever. Every other month, you're going to get new content. And the last but not least kind of thing is the Resident Evil Village DLC. It's short, right? It's not a full game, so, I hesitate putting it on a list like this, but I really do want to talk about it. It is, in my mind, better than the game, and I liked the game. It really brings it back to horror. There's some horror. Obviously, it's a horror game, right? Resident Evil Village, but it's obviously a lot of action too. Blasting werewolves with shotguns, and there is a lot of action in the DLC as well. But it really felt much scarier. Maybe just playing as the daughter and kind of creeping around. I don't know. I liked it. I mean, granted, hey, it is like a legitimate rehash of the game. Like, you literally go to the same, like, 3 main places. So it's like, talk about pinching pennies. But I'll tell you, I liked it better. I liked it a lot, too. It was very good. Highly recommend it. But I just kind of wanted to mention those 3 before getting back to the list. Because they were kind of completed, so that's not part of the 15. But, I just felt like I needed to bring it up. Now, another game that I 100%ed, and boy, did I enjoy it, and boy, did I put some good time in it, and that is Live Alive. Live Alive? Live Alive. And I am telling you, that game was so good. So good. I beat, obviously, all the stories, the secret story, and then, like, the secret ending where you can, like, kind of beat it several different ways. I don't want to spoil much, but I'm telling you, that game is great. Some of the stories that really stood out to me, I love like the weird Street Fighter one. Big fan of the ninja one, especially because there's like really 3 ways to beat it. Like fight nobody, kill everybody, or something in between. The caveman guy, his story was okay. It was interesting, but his story did give you like the best item in the game also. So, I don't know what to say about that, but the game as a whole is awesome. If you want an RPG and you want something cool, that is a game you should check out. It was already like a budget title price. So if you haven't played it, pick it up. It's really, really fantastic. I love those HD 2D graphics anyway. Those games are really good. Project Triangle, Octopath, soon to be Octopath 2. So, it's a game that I really recommend. And, even though I did say I put some time in it, it's like regular, old school RPG time. I want to say probably 40 hours to 100. That's up to 100% it. And that's what I did. I 100% that game. But you can honestly beat it much faster than that. But the cool thing about that game is it's a bunch of bite-sized stories. Like you can sit down and beat a whole story just in a sitting, and that's kind of the way to do it. I think you just kind of sit down, maybe take like 2 weeks, and just every night beat a story, and then you get through it, and it's fantastic. Highly recommend. Very, very fun game. Now, this game on the list is kind of a little funny. This is not typical, but when I'm editing videos, so I edit here and I have a TV there and my Switch is hooked up to it and everything. When I'm waiting for stuff to process, I'm double checking things. I just kind of play on the Switch here and there. And without really realizing it, I beat Donkey Kong Country 3 this year. I had never actually beaten that game all the way. I grew up, Donkey Kong Country 1, I've professed many times, is my first video game I ever had, and definitely one of my favorite games of all time. And I even have a full playthrough on the channel. Donkey Kong Country 2 is not one that I personally owned as a kid. My neighbor had it, and we played it non-stop, beat it. I just didn't own it myself. Now, of course, as an adult, I do. But Donkey Kong Country 3 is one of those ones that I didn't really get, right? It's at the end of the console life cycle. I think it even overlapped, and many people say that it's like the best one, maybe from a technical standpoint. I'll have to say that personally I disagree with it being the best one, and maybe that's my nostalgia talking. I'm not saying it's a bad game at all, but I don't like Baby Kong that much. He's kind of goofy, and I don't mean like the character, because the character, whatever. I just mean like he's a little bit slower than Donkey Kong and heavier, and I get that's, mechanically why that's the case. But it's just, I always felt that Donkey Kong was maybe a little too heavy. So when you get Baby Kong or Kitty Kong, whatever the hell his name is, he's just like worse to me. He's like a worse character of a character I was already on the fence about. But I did beat it, and I did 100% it. I went through and got all the coins and all the secrets and stuff. It's a cool game. It has really cool secrets. I really like the progression. I like how it has an overworld that progresses with you. Very cool, very fun. I played on the Switch Online service, and it is a game that I'd never beaten before, and I beat it this year. So, I can say I recommend it. It's pretty good. It's not like top tier as far as this list is concerned, but yeah, it's a decent play. And if you have Switch Online, like I said, it's free for you to check out. So now this one is very interesting, and I haven't finished the second one yet, but Azure Striker Gunvolt 3 has come out. I'm waiting for my limited run copy to come in years from now, but I was like, you know what, I have the 1 and 2 pack. Let me go ahead and go through those games and get to the end. Well, I've beaten 1 100% with a secret ending, and that's the one that's on the list. Currently I'm playing 2 kind of off and on. I'm very far in it. I'm actually at the end game, like the last level. Just haven't quite got there yet, but 1, I did beat all the way, and you know what? Wow, it's been so long, because I did beat that game a long time ago, but I never got the secret ending, and that's why it's on the list, because while I have technically beaten it before, I haven't beaten it for real, and now I have. You know, and now 2 makes more sense, because like I always wondered, like in the end of 1, I was like, how the hell do you come back? Because it's a little bit of a spoiler here, the regular ending, like you die, so I figured I just missed something, maybe like a comic book or something, but no, there's a true ending, which is very cryptic, kind of hard to get, because you have to give up one of your best powers and beat the final boss without it to unlock the true ending, and the real final boss is no pushover, but I will say it's a great game. I've said many times on this channel, I love Inti Creates. I love everything they do. And, you know, now that I've gone back and really played through 1 the right way, I appreciate that game a lot more. And, you know, I've been really enjoying 2. And I can't wait to finish it. And I played the demo for 3, and that game is off the chain. So when 3 does come out, to be, I mean, it's already out, so you can play it, but when 3 does come out where I can play it, you know, with a physical copy and unbox it on the channel, everything, I'm gonna be pumped by then. I'll definitely have 2 done. So, you know, hey, but, you know, Azure Striker Gunvolt 1, if you never played it, think like Mega Man X, but different, and in many ways better, and in many ways lesser. It's just, I mean, it's cool. It's cool, worth your time, worth checking out. Now I want to go over some games with friends. You know, co-op games are awesome, right? And couch co-op, I feel like is a thing of the past. These next 3 games, I'm just going to kind of do them rapid fire, are all 3 couch co-op games that I played with some of my great friends who actually live around here with me, 2 of my neighbors. And I tell you what, all 3 of these games we beat, they were all 3-player, they were all couch co-op, and they were fantastic. The first one on the list is Fight and Rage. I don't remember if I talked about that on the channel or not. I think I did. I think I did a co-op video this year, and that was one of them. That game is cool as hell. It is 3-player co-op. There's a ton of endings, so many endings, so many things to do. It's a great game though. The pixel art's really good. The characters are cool. You get enough unlockables to really make you want to keep playing it, even though it is just like any beat 'em up, kind of repetitive. But great game, highly, highly recommend it. But speaking of beating 'em ups, the next game on the list that I also beat with my 2 great friends, Chris and Brian, was The Quarry. And, you know, The Quarry is one of those, like, story time, you know, I forget what they call them, like the Dark Anthology, I think is the name of the series. They're like scary games where it's kind of like choose your own adventure, Goosebumps. And so this game was cool. It's the first one I've played. I've always heard that, like, Until Dawn was really good, and some of the other ones, actually, no, I lie, I did play Man of Medan, whichever one was on the boat, I played that one, and that was pretty cool, but this game was really cool, because there's so many characters, and you split up between the 3 of us, who's playing who, and, you know, I probably frustrated my buddies, because I decided to play one character very smart, and one character very stupid, and, like, I mean, like, to the extremes, like, the stupid character is, like, you know, you see, like, the monster, you're like, hey, I'm gonna walk up and try to pet it, you know, or, like, you know, obviously it's an exaggeration, but, and then the smart character was, like, too smart, where it's like, you know, you walk in, it's like, oh, man, we should probably go in there and check something, and he's just like, nope, and just leaves, like, never does anything to progress the story. So, like I said, probably frustrating for my friends, but for me it was very funny, and we had a good time. Our ending probably wasn't the best ending, but it was a great time. A lot of people died. You know, a little bit of a spoiler, that game's about werewolves, so, you know, hey, check it out if you haven't. That's one of those games, you know, those Dark Anthology games, they get cheap quick, so they were pretty, that was a pretty fun one. But last but not least, this game was so awesome. In fact, I just got it in the mail, a physical copy, but we played it when it came out on Game Pass, and that is Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. I'm going to open this up for the channel soon, by the way. I mean, I literally got this today, like 5 minutes ago. But Shredder's Revenge is exactly what we all wanted. Oh my god. We sat down, I'm telling you, we beat it in one sitting, and it's not like we beat it in one sitting, oh god, it was so short. It's like we sat down for some hours and put in the time and beat that game. Oh, so good. I highly, highly, highly recommend it. It was a great time, and like I said, I love playing co-op with my friends. I love being able to chill on the couch and hang out, you know, drink, snacks. So, you know, hey, if you haven't played that game, jump in. Jump in, the water is fine. I just said the water is fine. That's stupid. That's really stupid. Anyway, the next game on the list, it's another game that I put some good time into. I'm wanting to say 30 hours, and this was another 100% complete, and that is Kirby and the Forgotten Lands. I did a whole video on this about completing it. I said it then, and I say it now. Highly recommend doing that. It is so good. It is such a good game. Fun thing is, just like all Kirby games, it starts out with something stupid, like, I mean, this one's not too stupid, but, you know, it's like, oh, you know, you stole my apple, or this time it's like, you took all my friends, and then it literally ends with you having to kill God. Like, that's the formula for Kirby. If you don't know, it's like, oh, they stole my cake, and it ends with time to kill God. Kind of like the classic RPG joke where it's like, oh, someone gotta find my neighbor's cat, and then it ends with you like, you know, spiting creation. Like, that is this game. It's awesome. It's fun. I loved like the progression system in it, which is new for Kirby for me. You know, like the fire power is not the be all end all. You upgrade it twice. Some of them you upgrade more. I think the sword goes to like a 4th version, and maybe the hammers too. I forget. It's been a little while, but woof. Good game, really good game. In fact, I think it even won like a Game Award prize, which is awesome. Because I mean, like Kirby of all things, you know, that doesn't happen very often. But hey, I recommend it. If you haven't played it, jump in. Because I'm not gonna. I almost said it again. Jump in the water. The water's fine. Why am I saying that? It's so stupid. Jump into that game. It's good. It's a good one. Okay, we're down to the last 4. This one is not in order, but the last 3 will be in order because, like I said, I literally just beat them. But this one, I think I beat a little bit earlier in the year, and that is the game of the year, baby, Elden Ring. I put literally 99 hours into this game. I 100% this game in the sense of I've beaten all bosses, I have gotten all achievements. I mean, I'm sure there's still like stuff I haven't done, like a specific weapon drop or something. But as far as my 100%ing for what I'm going to do for it, I have done. And that is, like I said, all bosses beaten, all achievements, which gives you all the legendary weapons, all the legendary talismans, you know, all that kind of stuff. I think I've gotten all the magic. I'm wanting to say I did, even though I did not use a magic build. It's all about that curved great sword, baby! Oh my god, it is such a great game. Like, it is just such a good game. And this is coming from, you know, I don't know if you've been watching the channel for a while or not. I mean, hopefully you have been. I don't know why you'd be watching some stranger talk about what games they played if you hadn't. But I will say that I'm not a Dark Souls guy. I'm not a Soulsborne guy. This is my first Soulsborne game. I know that is the story for a lot of people playing it. And man, it is just like, whoa. It's so funny, you know, that first guy, the tree sentinel, that douchebag on his friggin' horse. Like, most people, you know, obviously learn their lesson and leave and level up and come back. I killed him. I stayed for hours and killed him. And I got his axe, and I couldn't use it because you need like 40 strength or something stupid like that. So I leveled up and I got that strength, and I used that axe for like a while until I got some better stuff. That game is top notch. The bosses are phenomenal. The lore is phenomenal. That's one of the few games where, like, I have literally watched hours, I mean hours and hours of YouTube videos for lore dumps just to, like, better understand what's going on. Because if you don't know, in Soulsborne games, they hide a lot of the lore in item descriptions and, you know, little pieces of dialogue here and there and just little stuff, little breadcrumbs. And they all come together to make a delicious story casserole, I guess. But I will say, man, Elden Ring, that it truly deserved Game of the Year. And, you know, like I said, I put like right damn near 100 hours. I was like 99 hours and some minutes to complete it. And I did everything that I'm willing to do anyway. And I cannot recommend that game enough. Play it any way you can. Any console will be fine. Play that game. It is hard and gratifying. Now, the last 3 games, like I said, I'm going to do in the proper order. First of all is High on Life. That game came out on Game Pass, and it came out on the week that I had to quarantine because I got sick, and I wanted to make sure that my wife didn't get sick. So I banished myself to the basement. Rather, she banished me to the basement. I was banished to the basement, and I had nothing but time, you know, so after, you know, doing, you know, whatever I was doing, I'd play a little bit of High on Life. That game was short. I think 14 hours. and I beat it, not 100%, but I beat it all I wanted to do. I got all the major achievements. I've obviously beaten the game. The only achievements I'm missing are one that's like missable, and that's just because you have to beat the levels in a certain order, so a certain like cutscene happens. And then some of the stuff where it's like, you know, getting all the chests and stuff, not important to me. I already bought all the upgrades you could buy, so at this point collecting chests is just for the sake of the achievement. But that game is great. It is fun. It's funny. If you like the Rick and Morty style stuff, it's funny. I will say the gameplay, if you haven't played it, it's like Ratchet and Clank light. And by that, I mean like, it's very kind of, you know, Ratchet and Clank's really like out there with the guns, are familiar but different enough to not be like realistic. And that's the way this is. You know, like the guns are like, you know, like there's one gun that's definitely like the Needler from Halo, but also it's like a sniper rifle. It also can freeze time. And, you know, it's like it does a lot of stuff. But so the variety isn't that big. That's why I call it Ratchet and Clank light. I mean, there's only like 4 guns, 5, including like this one you get at the very end. But, you know, it's real, not a big variety, but it makes up for that in its length. You know, the game is just long enough to where even though there isn't much variety, you end up not getting bored of it, because by the time you start getting bored of it, the game's over. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I don't know if that's a plus or minus. For me, it was a plus, because like I said, I'm getting older now. I kind of like shorter games anyway, and that game didn't overstay its welcome. I got what I wanted out of it. The humor was, you know, enough where, like, by the time I finished the game, I was like, all right, you know, these kind of jokes are getting old, but I finished it, so, you know, cool, done. It's a fun game. You know, on Game Pass, definitely check it out. Would I pay full retail? Maybe not. I'd probably wait like a $40 price point. But like I said, it's on Game Pass, worth a download, worth checking out, and it's fun. If you like that humor, it's really fun. If you like that humor, then it's a no-brainer. If not, maybe pass on it, maybe watch a video or two, see if you like it. But I thought it was hilarious, and I thought it was a really good time. Now, the second to last one is quite funny. So one of my neighbors, they went out on a little date night, and so I got to hang out with their kid, their 5-year-old son, watch him here at the house. And of course, when you have a little kid come over to a game room with, especially my kind of game room, they're like, "Where are all these old games? What's this? What's that?" And one thing that is just as timeless as video games is Power Rangers. And I'll tell you what, when we were walking around the shelf, and we found on the Sega Genesis Power Rangers, the movie, the game, based on the movie that I watched when I was 5 years old, and he was interested. We popped it in. Granted, we put it on easy mode, because, he still is 5. But, we beat it. We beat it 100%. It was fun. It was a good time. It was really cool for me, because, I'm telling you, I was literally 5 years old, maybe even 4. I was I had to have been quite young when that movie came out, and the same age around as him, and just playing it obviously filled me with nostalgia. It's a co-op game. It's a fun game. We did play on easy mode, but I don't think we even needed to, because we were really it was really, really easy. So I feel like normal is probably just as good, but we had a great time. And you know what? Playing old games like that, earlier on the list, I had Donkey Kong Country 3. So now I have another Sega Genesis game. And like I said, this list is games that I have just beaten for the first time. So every year, for instance, I beat Halo with friends. That's not on the list because I beat it every year. But it was cool to go back to that game. I remember renting it as a kid. Don't remember if I beat it or not. But I did beat it as an adult, and it was really fun. And it was playing it co-op with a 5-year-old. And I tell you what, it was really enjoyable. It was 3 or 4 days ago, but it was a good time, and I recommend that game. That's a good game. If you have a Sega, it's a good cheap game. It's a fun beat 'em up. Definitely check that one out if you haven't. And last but not least, the game that delayed this video. I was actually gonna make this video last week, but I was so close. I just had to finish it, and that is Bayonetta 3. I'm gonna say that I 100% of this game, in the sense that if you've played any Bayonetta game, they all have this. There's one thing at the very end that you can get, which is the Rodan weapon, Rodan, whatever you want to call it. Basically, the guy who sells you stuff. You have to collect 900,999,999 of whatever currency, trade it to him, you get a secret boss fight, and if you beat him, you get his weapon. It's always really cool. I just don't want to grind that out. It's just not fun to me. I did everything else. Come on, I did everything else. I maxed out every weapon. I unlocked every weapon. I did all the bewitchments. I did all of the little secret levels. Each level has its own secret level if you find the frog, the cat, and the crow. I mean, I did everything. I did it all except for the Rodan weapon. So I'm sorry. I'm sorry I didn't do that for this 100%. But you know what? Good enough. Good enough for me. Great game, though. Like, this game, you can tell that I feel like they were like, are we going to get another sequel? I don't know. Just in case, let's just throw it all out there. And they did. It's so cool. In this game, rather than have a different weapon on your hands and feet like in previous games, now it's like weapon sets. And there are so many. And there's so many secret ones. I mean, you know, there's the guns, right? You always get the guns. But also you can unlock the guns from the second and third and first game. So that's 3 right there. They have like a vine whip. They have like this big hammer that's a gun. They have like yo-yo saw blades, fans, a giant anchor, a chainsaw sword, a microphone stand that is a spear. A top hat and a magician's cane. That's one of them. It shoots bats out. Why not? They have like these Power Ranger style gauntlets that are weird, and you can like summon like the freaking like chimera beast lion with wings. I mean, there's a ton. That's not even all the weapons. Like, that's just a bunch of them. And every weapon gets its own summon and also like its own demon form, where like you're like half Bayonetta, half demon. The chainsaw sword, you're half train. Your legs are a train, and you have like a choo-choo conductor top hat. The game is wild. It is so fun. It is so fun. And the weird thing is, though, I will say, playing as Viola, the new character with the katana, that was, to me, maybe the only downside to the game. Granted, you only have to. God, that sounds terrible, doesn't it? You have to. You only have to play as her for like 3 levels, but I did not enjoy those as much, and I'll tell you why. It's not because I don't like the character. It's not that I don't like the katana and the dagger thing. I know exactly why I did not like playing as her, and that was the abrupt change of gameplay style. And really, it's one specific thing. In all the Bayonetta games, you have the witch time, where it basically slows time for a perfect dodge. And the perfect dodge is double tapping the trigger and you roll and dodge. Easy peasy. There's a little, like a light that flashes on enemies and you can do it. With Viola, you have to do the same thing, but you have to block right at the right time. And the weird thing is you're so used to double tapping. When you double tap the block button for her, that's her dash attack. So half the time I would mess it up. And then when I was cognizant of not doing it, I swear I can never get the timing right. With the Bayonetta thing, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of cheap, but you can kind of juke it where you just keep dodging and eventually it'll work. You can't do that with her. And because of that, I don't know, it's just like when I did have to switch to her, I did not like it at all. And it's weird for such a like seemingly minor thing to like bog me down on that character. But I tell you what, it came to a head when there was one of the like little challenge levels that was literally you could only do damage in witch time, which means you had to do the blocking thing and you're being timed. It was just like, I hated that mission. I hated that mission more than anything. But taking that out of it, great game, highly, highly recommend. It won an award at the Game Awards and it deserved it 100%. I love Platinum Games and that was a good one. The only other maybe downside, and this is only just for certain people, they have a great thing. Nintendo saved Bayonetta, and that's awesome. I do hate that it was kind of only on the Switch. Not that I don't love playing the Switch. I don't think the Switch deserves it, especially for saving the series. But like that game, like it looked like an Xbox 360 game, which is, what you expect on the Switch, especially with what they were going for as far as the size of the game and the frame rate and everything they were going for. That game would be so much cooler if it had the chance to look pretty. Like I said, I'm not going to harsh it too bad on that because to me, it's always gameplay over graphics. But, some people might dislike that. It doesn't look the prettiest. It kind of looks a little, looks rough, looks old. But, it was a great game. And, I'm really glad I got to play it. And I really, really recommend you play it because it is phenomenal. But that's it. That's the 15 games I beat in 2022. They were all great for different reasons. If I was to say, like, pick one game out of the list, it's gonna be Elden Ring. I mean, that game is just so stupid good. It's sexy good. But hey, what games did you beat this year? Did you put a dent in your backlog, or did your backlog outweigh what you finished. You know, one game that I thought I was gonna finish was Triangle Strategy. I got really far, just got distracted. Not a bad game, loved it, but I didn't get to put it on the list. Maybe next year. I doubt it though. I'm being real. I'm being realistic. But hey, like I said, let me know down below what you guys beat this year. Hopefully you beat my 15 games. You know, 15 seems heavy, but it also seems light, especially because some of these games were literally like sit down and beat them in like an hour. But you know, once again, I'd love to hear from you guys down below. I hope you guys had an awesome 2022, and I hope you have an awesome 2023. And I'll see you there next week. Next week's 2023. Wow. How long until we type the address right in our emails? Hey, and that's going to do it for us today, guys. Once again, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. It has been awesome. I'm getting pretty close to 5,000 subscribers. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. That'd be really neat. But hey, as always, my friends, take it easy.